All right, let's talk about the purchase process. Jim Seacott here with Polaris Mortgage Planners at Axiom Mortgage Solutions. So the purchase process when buying a new home is, number one, there's two ways you can go about it. You can start looking for the house first and then put the offer in and then get the financing. The other way is to get pre-qualified to see what you qualify for financing, and then engage your realtor to go home shop for that parameter of pricing. And then once you have an offer, then we finish up the approval, get the commitment from the lender, and move things through. So let's talk about this. So when we're pre-qualifying, either you're talking to the realtor first, or you're talking to us first. You're pre-qualifying what, with the realtor. You're qualifying, what do you want to look for a property? What are the properties out there? Location, size, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, close to schools or not, traffic, south-facing yards, all that kind of stuff. Condos, do they take pets or not? Okay, so there's the property qualifying, and then there's the mortgage qualifying. And for me, you come to me and we have a discussion, typically over the phone for 15-20 minutes, get the information, and then I'll send you a couple emails, one to request documentation of what I know the lenders are going to want to see for income and down payment, and then a second email that you sign online, and it allows me to pull your credit and send you emails throughout the process. So then with income, down payment, and pulling your bureau, I can qualify you with your numbers and then ask for your paperwork and go through the paperwork to just verify everything, to make sure I can verify your income, verify your down payment, and deal with anything that's on your credit. Then you go home shopping, and then the fourth thing is basically, does the property qualify? We want to make sure lenders shy away from like handyman specials and anything that needs a lot of work, because that's part of their security. When you put an offer on a property, they're looking that if you stop paying on that mortgage and they have to take over that property, can they sell it? Are they selling it to a small dynamic group of people, or is it generally 80% of the population would want to buy this house? So anything unique on a property starts to scare a lender away a little bit. So anything unique or anything that needs work, typically it gets harder to get financing for. Now, when you're looking at properties and you put an offer on a property, you're negotiating on price, but you're also negotiating on terms of when you take possession, how much you're going to give for a deposit, when you're giving that deposit, and what conditions you have on that offer that have to be satisfied before you become tied into that purchase completely as a firm offer. So at the beginning, it's a conditional offer typically, because you have conditions on your offer. Usually most people will do a financing condition and a home inspection condition. So the financing condition is giving us time to make sure that we do have a lender on board for that property. Now, we can do as much as we can up front as a pre-qualification, grabbing your paperwork, going through everything, making sure that we can prove the income, prove the down payment, your credit looks good. But then once you put an offer in, we have to make sure that the lender's okay with the property itself as well. And lenders and insurers, default insurers that insure the lenders, they won't take much time or any time looking at your file or your application until there's a live offer, because they don't have time for that. So that's my job, is to look at your application and go, okay, yeah, I think we're pretty much should be able to get this done. No, I don't foresee any issues. Go home shopping, and this is what you should be able to qualify for. But then once you go live on an offer, that's when we're actually sending it into the lender, and now they're underwriting it, and they're looking at your application that we've done. We're looking at the paperwork that you've gotten to me. We might have to update some paperwork if you've taken more than 30 days from when you sent me the initial paperwork to where you put an offer in. So job letters and pay stubs and that might need to be updated. Eventually I might need to pull a new credit bureau if it's been too long. And we send all this nice fresh stuff to the lender. They go through all the numbers, make sure everything looks good, and we get a commitment back from them that are committing to you that they'll lend you this money at this rate, and they'll hold the rate for this long, and just make sure you close on the property. And then you just got to look at that paperwork, make sure you're okay with all the details of the commitment, a lot of legal jargon in there. But there's things that we're also looking at, like the prepayment privileges they're offering, what are their terms, is it portable or not, and some other things in there. Anyways, so you go through that paperwork, sign off on it, you're okay with that. Any other paperwork we need to satisfy that we didn't have at the beginning, we would then produce to the lender. And once they're okay with all that, then you can remove the financing condition once we know that everything's approved. But just keep in mind that there's back and forth with all that. So once you put an offer in, we send this paperwork to the lender. The lender might take a couple of days to get back to us for the initial commitment, and then we have to get you to go through it and sign it, and supply them with any other paperwork they need, like void checks and who your lawyer's going to be and such. And we might have to order an appraisal. So all that stuff takes some more time. So it might be another 2 days sent back to them. They go through it. 2 more days comes back to us. So now we're talking like 5, 6 days, 7 days. And these are business days. So usually I'll ask for a 10 business day condition window. So when you put an offer on a property, try and get 10 business days for us to satisfy the financing condition. And then you'll usually match up your inspection if you're doing a home inspection around that same time. And you might book the home inspection for later on in that time period, because we want to make sure we can get the mortgage first, because it doesn't cost you anything typically, unless there's an appraisal, and then we might have to get you to pay for the appraisal. And then once that all passes, then order the home inspection, because that's usually costs a little bit more money. The appraisal is usually like $300 or so, but an inspection would be like $500 to $600. And then you do the home inspection, then you make sure that you're okay with the home itself, and if there's any issues come up there, then you might renegotiate with the seller on any of those issues and figure out whether they'll fix them up themselves to your satisfaction, or maybe drop the price a bit, and then you'll deal with it once you move in. All right. Then once all that's done and you guys are comfortable with the financing that we've set up, you're comfortable with the inspection of the property, you would waive those conditions, and you might have other conditions. Maybe your lawyer has to look at the paperwork and make sure that they're okay with it all. And then you waive all those conditions. Now you have a firm sale. Now you are obligated to basically buy this place. Before that, you could have backed out, not waived those conditions, got back your deposit typically. But once you waive those conditions, now you're locked in to buy this place. And now it goes to, once we've satisfied everything on the financing, the lender now gets all the paperwork ready on their end, and they send all that off to your lawyer. So it doesn't come through us, it goes directly to your lawyer, and I'll check with your lawyer. I'll give them a heads up once we go firm on the offer and you've waived your conditions. I'll give them a heads up of that this stuff's all coming, and who the realtor is, who you guys are, who I am, what kind of mortgage they should be seeing come to them for paperwork and that, to make sure that it's the same. What they're seeing, what the lawyer gets from the lender, it reflects what we've set up. So we want to make sure that's the same. So I'll give them a heads up what's coming, and then I'll check in with them usually at least a couple weeks before closing date, which is possession date when you're buying a place, and make sure that they got the paperwork from the lender, so that they can get all that paperwork ready. And then you'll contact them, usually a few weeks out, or right away once you remove conditions, to say, hey, we're buying this place, when can we come in and sign? And they'll usually book that about a week before possession day or so for you to come in and sign. You'll bring the rest of the down payment, minus what you've already given as a deposit on the purchase. And that rest of that down payment, they'll also tell you what to bring in. The lawyer will tell you what to bring in for the rest of the down payment, plus it'll also include their lawyer fees and any other fees like title insurance that might be included, property tax adjustments, condo fee adjustments and stuff like that if it's a condo. So they'll tell you how much to bring in for closing, and then so you'll come into that meeting a week before possession with your bank draft with the rest of the money. You'll go over the paperwork with the lawyer, sign off on all that stuff, get all that done, and then you're good until possession day. And then possession day, the lawyers will get the money from the lender, hopefully sometime in the morning. They'll go through it, write the checks, send the money off to the lawyer on the seller side. And then once that lawyer has everything, then they'll say, okay, we can release keys. The realtor on the seller side will then release the keys to your realtor, then if there's realtors involved. And then your realtor will say, hey, let's meet at the house and you guys will go to the house and they'll open up the door, or have you open up the door, walk through, make sure everything looks okay and that you're happy with everything, and then you now have your house. And congratulations. And then I'll check in. I'll usually try and show up if I can at possession time and bring a gift. And then at usually a month after possession, I'll check in to make sure all the payments are coming out properly with the mortgage. I check in every year to see how things are going, making sure, maybe you want to take advantage of the prepayment privileges with the mortgage and paying it off a little bit faster and what have you, or see if you have any questions on, maybe you want to do some renovations and pull out some equity, or I don't know. Anyways, I like to check in every year just to keep in touch. And then I check in also at renewal time. So when it comes up for renewal, we just want to make sure that the mortgage, what they're offering and what the lender's offering you at renewal time is competitive. So sometimes they don't offer you the best rates at renewal. So we want to make sure that those rates are competitive. If not, we can move you to a different lender at that time once your term is up, and get you a better rate, or help you negotiate with that lender if they are willing to come down a little bit. We can see how that all looks. So basically, I just want to be your mortgage planner for life and help you out and help out any of your friends, family, colleagues. All right, so that's kind of the process all the way through from the beginning to the end. If you have any questions, let me know. Jim Seacott with Polaris Mortgage Planners at Axiom Mortgage Solutions.